guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive He-Man, the most powerful game in the universe, Skeletor vs. He-Man, also known as the Mini-Masters. A few years ago at Comic-Con, Mattel had snuck into their display case a few small Masters of the Universe figures that have come to be known as the Mini-Masters. They were basically just sort of testing the waters with these and were trying to find a way to get them released. Now, we are finally getting two of those figures exclusive to this year's San Diego Comic-Con. And with the recent release of He-Man, the most powerful game in the universe, on iPhones and iPads, they found a really cool and unique way to actually get these guys branded and released. So as you can see, the figures come in a mailer box that has got some nice bright colors on there and is styled to look just like that app game. On the sides of either box, we get images of Snake Mountain and Castle Grayskull, just as they appear in that game. And then the back of the box has got the little Castle Grayskull brick design and has some fun little blurbs on there. As you can see, just like the game, this set is very tongue-in-cheek, has humor added into it. Some of the blurbs on there says things like, with 0% body fat, Skeletor has achieved his ideal body weight. And one has a toothy grin, the other one is a skeleton. Just some fun little blurbs on the back of the box that totally fit in with the style of these figures. So opening up that mailer box, you can see that we get this really cool Castle Grayskull styled box that houses the figures. Now there is an additional skull piece included that just has a little insert tab that you have to put in yourself to complete the entire diorama box. You fold out the little flaps on the side to kind of give it a little bit of wall there, and then you'll notice that there is a drawbridge door on the front that is sealed with Velcro. Pulling that open reveals your He-Man and Skeletor minifigures within this box. Now even the back of that box have some designs going on. You can see directly on the back we've got some nice bright colors there with this gold wall kind of shining through the green, and you can see shadows of both He-Man and Skeletor doing battle. And what's really neat is we have some little diorama pieces on the back of the box. On the left hand side you can see the chamber that's got the power orb, while on the right hand side we have a purple bricked area that looks to be a dungeon. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the He-Man and Skeletor figures that are seen within this box. They are very easy to remove. They're just in little clam shells that's inside that little drawbridge door, and there are just the tiny little clear rubber bands that hold them in. The good news about this is that they're real easy to put back in there if you ever want to display them inside of the box. The figures themselves are done in a 3-inch scale. So just to give you an idea of the size of these guys, here they are standing next to their Masters of the Universe Classics counterparts. Sculpted and designed by the Four Horsemen, these little minifigures have a really cool, stylized look to them that really do seem to mesh very well with the designs of the characters in that app game. Taking a look at He-Man, you can see he's got this incredibly cool face. He's got this very square jaw. He's definitely got the page boy haircut going on. He's got the squinted eyes and the toothy grin. And he's wearing the classic gray and red He-Man harness with the orange and brown furry trunks. And the overall build of the figure is in a way where the upper body is just really big and overly beefy, and then the legs are really small and tiny. That's kind of the design flow throughout this entire series here, and I think it really makes for a fun and exciting look for these characters. Skeletor is designed in that very similar fashion with the small legs and the big upper body. He's got an even funny face himself. You can see he's kind of got this overbite thing going on with his bottom teeth just kind of sticking up over his front teeth there. And he's got the red eyes, and the skull is done in that same kind of yellow and green paint job that we've seen on the Classics version of the figure. Then of course he's wearing his standard purple hood, the purple harness, and he's got the bright blue skin. Now these little guys do feature some articulation, which is really nice. Their heads are on a ball joint, so you can rotate them left and right, and they even have the ability to slightly look up and down. The arms just have the standard up and down movements at the shoulders there, and they have swivels at the wrists. Then the waist is able to turn both left and right, and there is no articulation in the feet, so you won't actually be able to move the legs or the feet or anything like that. So, not overly articulated, but much more articulation than you'd expect from a minifigure like this, so that is still pretty nice. In addition, both figures also include accessories, which are removable, another really nice touch. He-Man includes both his gray power sword and his classic shield that looks just like the toy designs. The handles on the sword and the shield are the exact same size, so that means he can hold the sword and the shield in either one of his hands. Another really nice touch is that there is a sword sheath on his back, so you can actually store the sword there if you'd like to. Skeletor includes a purple version of that power sword, and of course, his Havoc Staff. Now, the plastic on the weapons is pretty solid for the most part, but it is worth noting that the Havoc Staff is a little gummier feeling, probably because of the longer, skinnier staff. It's not overly gummy, it's not too bad, just a little flexible. And just like with He-Man, the staff and the sword have the same shaped handles, so you can hold those weapons in either one of his hands. Also, just like with He-Man, he's got the sheath on his back, so he can store the sword there. Alright guys, it's comparison time! Just for fun, here's these new He-Man and Skeletor Mini-Masters standing alongside a selection of other Masters of the Universe minifigures from over the past years. So, you remember the back of that box that I was talking about earlier? One thing that's really neat is you can use those as diorama stands for these figures. So you can have your He-Man in the orb chamber, you can throw your Skeletor in the dungeon, or you can just flip the box around and that little Castle Grayskull design from the game works as a really great backdrop for your Mini-Masters display. I really like the way these guys turned out. I think it's a lot of fun getting something new and unique like this to add to your Masters of the Universe collection. I was a big fan of these when I saw them at San Diego Comic-Con a few years ago, and I've been really hoping that Mattel would find a way to get them released. I'm really hoping that these two figures are only the beginning of a whole series of these coming out, because I would love to get the Scareglow and the Mossman and some of those other figures they showed off, and hey, I gotta get Mosquitor in this scale and style, right? Come on, Mattel, let's make it happen. The He-Man Most Powerful Game in the Universe Mini-Masters will be available first at San Diego Comic-Con 2013, and then will be sold afterwards on MattyCollector.com. Until next time...